Hey guys, today I'll be teaching you guys on how to make a rising lava part. So basically, as you can see, if I hit run, after a few seconds this part would start rising. As you can see, this part is slowly rising upward. And today I'll be teaching you guys on how to make this rising lava part. So let's get right into it. Alright, so first things first, what we're going to be doing is we're going to create a part in Workspace. I'm just going to resize it a bit so it looks a bit big. And then under the part, we're going to create a script. And inside the script, we're first going to get TweenService by simply typing local TweenService equals game GetService TweenService. Alright, so now after getting TweenService, what we're going to be doing is we're going to create the tween. So basically what TweenService is used to change a specific property from one property to another property. For example, let's say this part. Now, if you want the part to rise, you want the part size and the position to smoothly change from its starting position to its ending position. So for example, as you can see, the size of this part is around 31,0.5. Now we want to change the y-axis of this size to something higher. Like for example, as you can see in this part, it's around 0.5. So if we hit something like 60, oh my bad, it's actually the position. Now if we go to size and change its y-axis to something bigger like 60, the part becomes much higher. However, another problem is after you change the size of the part, the position should also be changed because as you can see, this part is kind of cutting through the upper part and the lower part. So if you want this rising part to work correctly, we would want to change the size of the part and the position of the part as well. So how do we do that? We use TweenService to change the part size and the position in a smooth manner. Alright, so if you go back to the script, what we're going to do is we're going to create the tween first by simply typing local rising tween equals TweenService create. Alright, so for create, there are actually three parameters. One is the instance, the object which you want to change, and then the tween info, which is, I'll be explaining that later. And the third parameter is the goals. So basically, first we're going to write the instance, which is going to be the part. Before that, let me just get the part, local part or rising part equals script.Parent. Now this is going to be the instance, and the instance is the first parameter of the create function. So we're going to type rising part. Now the second parameter is going to be the tween info. So how do we get the tween info? We simply create another variable which stores all the tween info by simply typing local info equals tweeninfo.new. So for tweeninfo, there is actually a lot of parameters, which I think it's 6 to 7 parameters. But right now, what we're going to be using is the time. Time is basically how fast or how long you want this tween to occur. So in this case, I'll just put around 10 seconds, which means that this rising will happen for 10 seconds. And the second parameter is called the easing style. What the easing style is that how you want the lava to rise. So for this case, in this case, I'm just going to put Enum.EasingStyle.Linear. There are actually a lot of styles for this. So if I put dot, there's actually one called quad. There's another one called sine. But for this case, we're just going to put linear because we only want the lava to move upwards in a normal manner. If you put any other style, then the movement of the lava might change. And I'll show you guys how that movement changes later in the video. So for now, I'm just going to put linear, and after that, we'll just put 2 parameters. We don't need the other parameters. For now, I'll just focus on the 2 parameters because we only want the lava to rise. Now, after that, we're just going to put this. This is going to be the second parameter of the creating part. So in this function, after that, we'll just put info, which is the second parameter. Now we're going to go to the third parameter, which is the goals. It says property table string, which means it's going to be the goal. Now over here, we're going to create another table called the goals, local goals equals, we're just going to put a curly brackets. And okay, so this part we're going to be a bit careful because we want to make sure we put in the right position and the right size. So for example, in this case, I want the part to rise for 60 studs. I'll say, since you can keep it any other number you want, but I'm just simply going to put 60 studs. Let me just resize this part. And now, first, we want to change the size of the part. All right, so here what we're going to put is size, S-I-Z-E, equals vector 3.new. We want to increase the size. We want to change the height of the part to 60 studs, which is 0, 60, 0. And this is going to be our new size. After that, we want to change the position of the part. So basically, why am I putting size is because this part has a property called size. As you can see, there's this specific property called size, and which is why I'm putting size over here. Now, the letters, the naming, and the spelling, they all have to be correct, or else this will run into an error. So for example, if I put a small s, this will show an error because there is no property called size with a small s. There's only size with a big S, which is why the uppercasing and the lowercasing matter a lot, which is why I'm going to put size, S-I-Z-E. Okay, so next, after changing the size, you want to change the position of the part as well. So you're simply going to put a comma, enter, and position equals vector 3.new. Okay, so before that, we want to get the current position, and then we want to change it to the new position. So for example, over here, we're going to put the part.Position, rising part.Position plus vector 3.new. Okay, so here it's going to be 0, 60 by 2, right? 60 by 2, 0. Okay, so you guys might be wondering why we're dividing the height by 2. Well, it's because, let's say we are changing the size up to 60 sets. So let's go to size and change the y-axis of the size to 60. And if you do that, the size does change, but the only issue is that the position, right? The position. Now, if you want this part to actually rise at its original place, you want to change the position as well. Only then this part would rise while also changing its position. So now if I move this part up for around 30 studs, exactly 30 studs, 29.5, 30 studs, as you can see, this lava part is rising correctly. And there's no portion of the part going below the base plate, as you can see, because I moved this part up 30 studs. And if I put the size at 60 studs, and if I move the part up for 30 studs, the part is at its right position. The lava rising part is at its right end position, which is why you want to divide the rising height by 2. You know what? Let me just add another variable for the rising height. Rise height equals 60, right? You can keep this to any number you want. I'm just going to put 60. And in the goals here, I'm just going to put rise height. And over here, I'll put rise height by 2. So after creating the goals, after assigning the parts goals inside of this table, we now finally put the table inside of the creation function, which is goals. So yeah, this is how TweenService works. What you basically do is you first put the instance, which is a part in this case. It can also be in the UI, but here in this case, we're just going to put part. And the second parameter is going to be the info, which is right over here. And the third parameter is going to be the goals, which is right over here. And guys, make sure that the goals parameter is a table, or else this will show an error. This has to be a table. And now, after creating the tween, now what we're going to do is we're going to play the tween, and that's pretty much it. We're going to put rising tween play. And yeah, this is pretty much the whole script. So basically what TweenService, I want to explain this again. What TweenService is used to change the property of an instance from one property to another property in a smooth manner. And that's what TweenService is all about. And that is what exactly we're doing here. We're changing the property of this particular part from this property. So initially, this was a property, right? Initially, the part size used to be this, right? This is the initial property. And then this is the initial position. And now we're using TweenService to change its properties from this initial properties to these final properties. And that is how TweenService works. That is the exact way how you should be using TweenService. Alright, so after getting the rising tween, we simply play. We also add a wait statement, task.wait for 5 seconds, and then we'll see how this tween works. Alright, so now if I hit run, okay. If I hit run, after 5 seconds, as you can see, this part is rising. Alright guys, it seems that I made a small error in the script, because if I hit run over here, after a few seconds, the part starts rising up very weirdly. And as you can see, the part is starting to shrink, and the part is also starting to wobble. And yeah, this is not how the script should be going. Well, the only fix that I have to do in the script is that I'm supposed to be putting rising part dot size, and I unfortunately forgot to do that. My apologies. And now after this, if I hit run, this part should rise in a neat manner. Now if you wait for a few seconds, as you can see, this part is starting to rise very smoothly, just like a lava part. Nice. Alright, so, well, I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it. That is how I create a rising part. But you might want to add a kill script because, I mean, that's how lava usually works, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a killing part, a kill touch event, which is rising part dot touch connect function hit. This part's pretty easy. We just going to create a kill script. And we're going to get the humanoid, which is hit dot parent find first child, and we're simply going to put humanoid. And after that, if humanoid, oh wait, my bad, I would put a hit. And then here, if you put hit humanoid, then we're going to type humanoid.health equals 0, and that's pretty much it. And after that, we can probably change the color of the part to something like red, and I can change the material to something like neon. And now if I actually play, and if I hit run, and now if I touch this part, as you can see, I die, just like that. And this lava part also starts rising. One more thing you can do is you can change this part's can collide to false, because you don't want to be able to touch or run over lava. And yeah, after that, you can pretty much resize it however you want. You can add an obby on top of it, and you can make players try to escape the lava. on top of the rising lava part. Oh, my bad. Guys, make sure you anchor the part, or else this part will just fall down. Just gonna anchor the part. And now if I hit run, as you can see, this part will start rising. You can put up an obby or something in the center. And yeah, that's how you make a rising lava part. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and I really hope that this video gave a pretty valuable insight as to how rising lava works. And I'll see you guys in the next video.